Hello, Namaste. I welcome you all to the 85th session of GURUBODHA. This session is brought to you by easyayurveda.com. I dedicate this and all of my works at the holy feet of Dr. H. Chandrasekhar Udupa. This class is live for Ayurveda weekly class subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please go to easyayurveda.com/video dash classes. Getting into the topic is a famous quote from arguably, or at least as of now, statistically the greatest player in the world of tennis. He just recently won record 23rd Grand Slam championship. He won the French Open recently. He is Mr. Novack Djokovic, and there was an interview ahead of this French Open to give a context of Novak Djokovic. He was not allowed when the pandemic broke out. There was a section of the people who denied getting vaccinated. One argument was that in the invention of this COVID-19 vaccination, many of the rules were not followed as per the stipulation, and a very new technique which was hitherto not scientifically much proven. It was just there as a technique of using mRNA technology to develop vaccine. It was never used before to develop vaccine. That technology was under development, and some companies had used that mRNA technology to find some drugs or vaccines. FDA was on the fence, and suddenly this pandemic came, and suddenly that new technology got accelerated, and they came up with a vaccine. So some people were not in favor of getting this vaccine because entirely a new thing, a new technology that is used without much proof of data and proof of technology. And usually any drug development or vaccine development takes many months to many years. So this was very much accelerated, and many protocols which are otherwise used for the invent of a vaccine was not followed. Then was the next Australian Open. He was denied entry to Australian Open because he was not given visa to enter into Australia, and this is later stage. This is in 2022. In 2021, he was not allowed in and all, and so he sacrificed the chance of being the number one player in the world many times. Still, he came out victorious in his conviction of not getting vaccinated. And recently he made a quote saying that because someone asked like why you are giving up this chance, because Federer I think has won something like 21, 22 and 21 or 22 Grand Slams, and then there is Rafael Nadal who has won 22. Now he is in 23 Grand Slams. So if we just gives up the vaccination principle that is following so diligently, he will be given entry into USA and England, in which he can play US Open and Wimbledon, and he can win many more Grand Slams and establish himself as the greatest player ever to play tennis. So he is giving up that dream just to maintain his principles. This is the quote. This is the video in which this sentence has been taken, in which he says why he is doing this and why he is sticking to simple vaccine principle. He says because the principles of decision making on my body are more important than any type. Just to give another context, we have thousands of years before written Samhitas and Sangrahas, which form the basis of Ayurveda. We blindly believe in them. And based on that, even today, whether we use Chamanprash or administer the Virechana or anything, we use the principles and the instructions that are given in the Samhitas and Sangrahas even today. Versus that, there is this modern medicine upon which the modern medical system, let's say, some people call it as like Western medical system. The very basis of this is the scientific research, and that scientific research is so misaligned with the science sometimes that people are losing their trust in that. So that it has become a domino effect, that one thing leading to the other. Then we come to this point where every scientist or every person with some scientific attitude says that make your own research and take your own decision for yourself. When you think about science, or specifically medical science, it is not meant to be this way. It is meant to be that a scientific theory or principle is established and everyone follows it, trusting it 100%. But Guraj sir, it has become such a complex issue. The modern medical system has become such a rigid scientific phenomena that we are left to make our own decisions rather than coming into a conclusion based on the scientific research. The whole of the underlying principles of scientific research is getting questioned by everyone around us.
Definitely, it has become a very brainstorming many times, and it is causing a lot of tensions. But still, there are a group of people, or a set of bloggers, or you can call it as a YouTubers, or you maybe agenda-based driven people. They'll be trying to defame Ayurveda day in and day out, and every day they'll be doing something nonsense about that. They try to bring it out, some understand the translated version of Ayurveda somewhere, somehow, and they make their own inferences out of that. And ultimately, when their background is itself is having of dirty things, but still they try to say things in other house. Anyway, the modern medical science definitely has a good edge as scientific research. It's the ultimate one, and whatever the scientific research it is there, it is foolproof, and so no such things are there. If a drug which is established to be a very excellent drug, elixir and lifesaver and protect from diseases, and subjected for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials and research and clinical trials and everything, double blind, placebo blind and control trials, multicentric trials, so many things they have done it. Then ultimately they have been given approval and then allowed to enter into the market. Once it is entered in the market, then the post-marketing, the techniques and post-marketing analysis and the feedbacks will be taken, and then once again restudied, and ultimately when the side effects becomes more and more, they automatically withdraw this by saying that pharmacovigilance report, based on this we are trying to withdraw this and no more should be used. But meanwhile, over that period of 5 years or 10 years or 7 years, the drug was in market, every doctor was writing, and while writing he thinks it is the science and it is the foolproof one, and they are prescribing, and at the end of the thing they come to know that this is a wrong thing and it has caused so many side effects. And who is going to take the responsibility of these side effects? Whether the humans are guinea pigs for their trial. So this is what, and still they call it as a pure science, and that is science. Every day emerging, every day it's evolving. Not like Ayurveda, which is a age-old one and it is stagnant. This is what their comment and their understanding and their argument. Anyhow, but of course, Novack has his own principle, his own thoughts and his own ideas, and he was ready to have all the outcome of his decisions, and he is solely responsible what he has taken the decision, and still he has proved that he can, without that jab, he can still survive and he can win in next opportunity when it is there. He can win once again a Grand Slam. That is the beauty of it, and his confidence and his level of understanding.
Yes, sir. And there is a famous book on breathing, and in that he explains how correct method of breathing will help prevent many of the diseases, including deviated nasal system to nasal polyp fever to asthma and all. In that he explains how intense amount of research on breathing and how breathing can treat a variety of diseases or at least prevent a variety of diseases were getting recorded by many scientists who were visiting these Himalayas and meeting many Hindu monks who were practicing varieties of pranayama and Buddhist monks who were practicing many different breathing techniques in which they were able to keep the body so hot that the body could tolerate the deep winters of the Himalayan environment. So he writes in one instance that somehow the research and data of medical science, whatever the data that was recorded between 1850 to 1950 was wiped out just by the modern medical system. And then everything became antibiotics or pills for lifelong or vaccines. So natural methods were systematically rooted out from the medical system to seek help from these medicines and chemicals. Raghuram sir, that's not a healthy trend. And an ideal doctor, even if it is Ayurveda also, as far as possible, should be taking all the measures necessary to reduce the medicines, to stop those medicines, and help the patient to take the help of natural method like lifestyle and diet, meditation, yoga, pranayama, etc., to be healthy.
Absolutely, you are right, Herbal sir, and Guruji sir also has pointed out right points. I was just making my points also here. See, for a scientific research, as you said, we need to make a scientific research or a research on a personal basis, and also should be equipped enough to take our own decisions. And ultimately, even after that, it is going under the hammer of universal acceptance. So even if it is a personal research, what I make in my lab and try to prove certain things, and I've got good results, but still the need of me explaining that to the world in a bigger platform. So that doesn't shrink or that doesn't come down, because research works are not accepted just like that. We need plenty of data, we need plenty of proofs and evidences before and after and during the methodology, whatever we have done. That is why a big science of research methodology exists. But what I feel in the couple of points you discussed, an open-mindedness is very much required. So be it Ayurveda doctor or a modern doctor or the team of doctors who are undergoing research, first of all, the pattern and the limitations, the bracket and the limitations of what we are going to research should be very, very much defined. So we should have that clear definition of what we are researching, in which way we are progressing. We have not hesitated to take for example, in Poppa, so we have the animal lab in the institution from which we postgraduated. We have animal lab. Animal experimentations are being done before the human experimentations. There is methodology going on. Did we hesitate from taking up an animal experiment? No. We are following the methodology. We are also having a scientific lab there to prove what are the ingredients, what are the chemicals in a leaf or a stem or a root or whatever. Regular studies are going on. Many students, PG scholars, PhD scholars, their works are referred to the lab. I'm just giving an example of an institution where genuine work is done by accepting the norms which are there in the modern research methodology. There is a subject called as research methodology, which is being taught at the PG level. Now it has been introduced even at the undergraduate level, because taking it into consideration that the undergraduate student may go ahead to do his post-graduation or pursue PhD in future, they basically need the knowledge of research methodology. So medical stats and research methodology is introduced right in the final year itself, like in the UG itself, so that they at least know if they go to PG what we are going to do ahead. So that introduction is there. And the entire explanation, we are trying to compare Ayurveda research methodology, what is there in our Ayurveda treatises, and Charaka, what he has said, Sushruta, what he has said, Vagbhata, what he has said, what lay in the Samhitas, what are the methods of preparation, so on and so forth. Everything right from the historical research to everything. We try to compare it, but to what we are comparing? We are comparing it to the standards which have already been written in the modern version. So that is the modern research methodology, modern stats. That is exactly we are reading, and the questions for the students are also from those perspectives only. Like an Ayurveda question may be like write the comparison between the modern and ancient research regarding dash, like a disease pathogenesis or investigations needed for diagnosing a disease. So again, we are trying to compare, but what my point is, have we inculcated the modern tools or not? We have. What does that display? That displays the open-mindedness of Ayurvedic doctors and the fraternity to accept the other sciences. Recently, I was reading Sushruta, so I forgot the reference. There, Acharya tells, even in Charaka, I think we have references, that a true physician or a true scholar is a person who abides with his own science without neglecting or insulting the other sciences. So like contemporary sciences, we have to accept. For that, what we need is an open-mindedness to go ahead. Even a modern research work, if it is going, ultimately I said it is me or a allopathy doctor or our teams doing some research. We need to provide the substance. We need to provide the proof and evidence to the world. We need to explain, so that we cannot step back, whether the world accepts or not. And again, there is a plenty of lobby and the negativities attached to that. So here the open-mindedness that we will accept, even if a modern person, if the doctor or a team of research scholars, if they believe that Ayurveda medicine is, instead of blaming the medical science without knowing anything ABC about the Ayurveda or homeopathy or any other science, simply for invasion purpose, you're invading into the privacy or into the knowledge of the resource of the knowledge of these sciences like Ayurveda, which are sustained the test of time, acidic test of time since a long time. You are just coming into the science without knowing anything. Guruji sir rightly pointed out there are many bloggers, YouTubers, and also people. So we don't know whether they're branded or they're sponsored or they have that cruelty of just or only a thought process that we need to comment just because we need to comment. We need to object because we need to object. So what is the source behind that? It may be a sponsored one or there may be insecurities. Very important is insecurities, fear of existence, and a stiff competition. Ayurveda, people know that Ayurveda is a stiff competition to any medical science, even in terms of providing results or doing anything. So we are holistic. We have a comprehensive approach. That is not an eye opener. That is a point of threat that we have given to the competitors. More the competitors, I think I brought to the notice of Dr. Herbal also yesterday. So one person was randomly commenting on a YouTube video we posted, and there were some negative comments from the person. Finally, I learned that person is Ayurveda doctor himself. In spite of me explaining, at last he claims I am also an Ayurveda practitioner, and what is the point of doing these videos? So who is against? We will leave apart the modern doctors. Our own system is against our own system. Again, there is a competition within competition from outside. Insecurity is a bad disease. Insecurity is a very, very bad disease. People feel insecure. So instead of that, a healthy process is join hands. Modern science, modern research, and Ayurveda research are modern people coming together open-heartedly with open-mindedness. At least if there is an initiation in 2-3 places, other research teams will take the initiation. Let us join the hands and try to prove we don't have a remedy for this disease. We don't have medicines for this disease. We don't have a holistic approach. Ayurveda is telling that we have. Instead of commenting and objecting it, let us go into their system, join hands, try to learn what exactly they are doing and contribute from our parts, our side. So if this particular procedure is taken, and I feel Dr. Herbal, so open-mindedness, a right motive. The second point is the right motive is needed and a right direction and ultimately right destination. All these things, a right motive and the right direction after taking the motive and the right destination. That is swasthasya swastharakshanam, aturasya vikara prashamanam. Only 2 objectives. The best objectives we have in Ayurveda. Any medical science will have these 2 objectives. If we healthily join hands, nothing will be a personal research or a team research or a allopathy research or a Ayurveda research. If we take, like even in COVID, we used to see, we never joined hands. There was only objection and the spoil game which was being played. Sorry to tell this. So if we join hands in a healthy way, and if the motive, collective motive, like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, if there is a collective motive and a collective direction in which we are traveling, and we have the right destination to approach with the betterment of and also the welfare of the people, I think all researchers will go in a right way, and the end products will be for the betterment of the humanity. So this is what I feel.
Thanks. And right, the motive becomes very important when we analyze the statement of any institute or person or anybody. That's why in the Ayurveda field, the truths were to go through aptas. And that's why Aptopadesha or Shabda Pramana, what we call as, is so very important, because it is explained that those aptas are explained as, say, Ni Raja Tamas. So they are devoid of Rajas and Tamas. They are neither Rajasic, meaning they do not have personal motive to write. They wrote because it is helpful for others. They wrote because it is what are the Ayurveda science that they have written in the Charaka Samhita, Susha Samhita, Kasha Samhita, and whatnot. They're very sure that it is going to help humanity in a positive way. They wrote it because it helps. It is not going to hurt anybody. It is only going to help everyone who reads and adopts. And they were not having motives. And that if you open many of the Samhitas, etc., many of the Sanskrit textbooks, etc., many of them do not have the bio of the author. They were so selfless that they were just skipping mentioning their names itself. It's only due to the thorough research of the history that we are able to identify certain authors of certain books. And also certain books are written by like three different authors across three different generations. That is spread between 500 to 1,000 years. So, first is that they should be devoid of rajas, and then they should be devoid of tamas, meaning they should not have personal interests. They should not be driven with a hidden agenda, etc. So from there, we have landed ourselves into this big mess of modern scientific research, backed by big pharma lobby and money. So there is definitely a lot of rajas and tamas involved. So there's a book called as a Death by Prescription. In that, the author explains that 1 in 5 new drug applications, called as NDA, new drug applications were getting approved for 1990 or 1991. From there, now post 2000 and all, 3 out of 5 new drug applications are getting approved, means new medicines are getting into this one, getting into the circulation. This is like modern medicine. So it is not because the science has so much advanced. It is because the FDA is getting funded by this pharma companies. So there is this, because the pharma companies are funding FDA cannot say no to anything and everything. They cannot take their own individual decision. So when the governing authority, Guru sir, when the governing authority becomes friends or becomes dependent on the applying authority, naturally corruption ensues.
Definitely. Basic thing in these entire activity of this drug research and protocols and all these things, it is the huge money involved. And who is going to see? Many a times when I was reading or observing that something on the net, and I found it that way back in so many years earlier, they have predicted that the COVID thing will appear in 2019. How come they know it, all these things? Whether it is a pre-planned one, it is something like a virus of a computer. They only create a virus, and for that they already kept their antivirus ready, and you ask them to buy the antivirus by the time it is affected. So all these things are very much clear that the nexus or the mafia, we can say it, with a huge company involvement, and the pharma companies, they are funding a lot. And definitely, ultimately, who is going to be helped? It should be a common man, helped in a proper sense.
It becomes,
he is subjected as a kidnapping.
It has, though it is true, and though especially with the COVID, it became so much controversial if you say that the virus, if someone said these sentences in the 2020, when the COVID started, they would be outright banned from Twitter, from Facebook, from YouTube, from all the social media platforms, from everywhere. If anyone said that there are some chances of virus getting manufactured in a lab, or there are not sufficient evidence of vaccine totally preventing the COVID infection, that the mass mandates and the lockdowns, continuous lockdowns, may not have fruitful results as it is purported. If the sentences were told back in 2020, you would be banned from Facebook, banned from Twitter, and banned from all the platforms. But now we are in 2023, we know that vaccines do not work as expected. Then came the booster dose, and over that second booster dose, the third booster dose, and then it became like a combination of different vaccines together. So on and so forth is still running, and some people still believe in that. But the theory of vaccine, which was proposed in the 2021, is broken now. So all the truths that these media companies, even today, if you make a YouTube video and you're mentioning the word COVID and vaccine, YouTube will put a banner that, for the right COVID information, please go here, and it will give certain websites. So it thinks that only those websites are authentic, and whatever we are speaking may or may not be true. So following a godfatherly attitude. And another problem with the research that is going on today is, though it is peer reviewed, that peer review system has become a broken one. This was told openly by longevity research professor from Harvard, Professor David Sinclair. He told this in Joe Rogan podcast. It's out there in the open. It's available in Spotify. He says, if any gross mistake of scientist A are there in a research paper, and if scientist B is reviewing that paper, he will hesitate to mark it and say that, these things are wrong and this need improvement. He will not say it openly, because in future the science paper of B scientist could be reviewed by scientist A, and scientist A can take revenge. Ideally, the scientific papers should be reviewed by a review committee who are independent of any sort of premeditation, any type of prejudice. But the system has become that, if Gururaja sir is presenting and if Raghuram sir is reviewing it, then Raghuram sir will hesitate giving any negative comment to Gururaja sir, because in future Raghuram sir's paper can go to Gururaja sir. Raghuram sir, this has become kind of a nexus, and somehow neutral authorities need to be established again.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. This point is really interesting, and we need to see, though it is a paragraph here by David Sinclair, it has a lot of depth here. Just like giving examples, when we give students seminars or individual projects to do in the classroom, like come over the stage and give a demonstration, or a demonstration of a topic which has been allotted to them, like for a teaching purpose, to develop skills in them. All the students sitting in the classroom will never question that student, because they know that when their turn comes, the other students will even plan to pose very difficult questions. So that has become, see, when this happens, A's work not objected by B, B's work not objected, A's work not objected by B, because B's work may go to A at some time. So if this happens, we have introduced a bias into the study. We have introduced error into the study already. Okay, it's like telling, B has written, poison doesn't take away the life. Poisons can be consumed according to one's wish. And if A thinks that, okay, I'll not object because I am also writing something on the poisons and tomorrow this person may object. So what is the overall effect of that? The poison, added poison will come into the society, that's all. As you rightly said in the previous example, in Charaka Samhita, Janapopadwamsaneeya, Master Charaka rightly tells, if a king does a mistake, instead of king, you used some superior authority of the lobby. So like if somebody is doing a mistake, the lower tiers will be affected. Master Charaka tells in Janapopadwamsa, so what are the causes? He gives different causes of the destruction of land or the pollution of the land, water, etc. He tells the adharma of a king. So here king we should take anywhere. So the king is the head of a state, head of a country, or head of an office. If the person is doing unrighteous things, that will mask the overall righteousness of the other people working in the second, third, and the fourth tiers. Yatha Raja Tata Praja. The person will think, I need to follow whatever our king is doing, whatever our boss is doing at the office, whatever the principal of the college is doing. When these people, whatever prime minister or the chief minister or the army head is doing, we need to follow. They take the wrong instruction. They misread things. About misreading and misinterpretation, Gururaja sir rightly pointed out right at the beginning, how people misinterpret. Why misinterpretation? That is just because I can interpret things in my own way. So here there is a clash of titans. There is a clash of systems. There is clash of ideologies taking place here. So that Sinclair's statement clearly shows that if that procedure is followed in the research work or anywhere in any institute, small to big institute, we are directly introducing error or a mistake into the system. And from a longer perspective, it will definitely affect the mankind when it comes to the research, because wrong research and not being able to validate or evaluate a research properly by me or by somebody, with the fear that the other person may object me when the opportunity comes. What we are doing is, we are doing a sin. We are doing a prajnaparada. We are responsible for Janapopadwamsa. So because the results which come out of it will be really, really harmful. Really harmful. Be it in the manufacture of a medicine, manufacture of a milk product or whatever. So even the eatables, whatever groceries we take or whatever we purchase. So we blindly purchase because it is marketed. It has brand name. But what is behind that? How this coffee is superior than this coffee? Both are having coffee. How this coffee is, do you judge that this coffee is costing 150 rupees and this is costing 10 rupees? That is why 150 rupees coffee will be better. There a lot of things have been added to that. The ambience, the supply, so how the people treat you there, the time they give you, the facilities, Wi-Fi facilities and all those things. An ordinary hotel's 10 rupee coffee will taste better than a 150 rupees coffee. I'm just not trying to blame anything. So this is one example. So what has happened here, both are coffees, how they are different. How they are different because this coffee has many other factors to be considered to be a 150 rupees coffee. And this poor fellow doesn't have anything because it is a 10, it is the same coffee, it is the same milk, it is the same sugar, it is the only the ambience. So just pour decoction over the milk, stir it and give it to the customer. That's it. Those people are doing something extraordinary. They bring sugar cubes separately, tea sachet separately to you, or the coffee sachet separately to you, and neatly dressed up there, bring in a posh tray and all those things. Does it even affect the same coffee? The same 150 ml is going into your stomach. So
Yes.
what we are doing is we are creating a confusion amongst the people. When scientific works clash against each other, we are introducing bias and errors, and the end product is very, very, very dangerous for the humanity. So that is very important to notice. And that statement by Matthew Sinclair, it is a big topic. So where we can discuss a lot of things about this.
Thank you, Desa. And going through a few of comments here, Ms. Nalini says, Ayurveda's primary distinction is that it gets the root cause of the issue and treats accordingly. And allopathic medication and research allows for symptoms to lead to diagnosis and treatment, which repeatedly demonstrated through the rats, other animal or human trials. That less than X percentage of people treated exhibit side effects, while most experience benefits or cure. The percentage ranges from 1 to 6 depending on the country and the regression and such. Why can't Ayurveda experts demonstrate the lack of side effects? It is, it is a valid question, and I mean, probably it will take another hour to discuss in itself. That there are two components. The question is, there are two components on which a drug is studied. One is the efficacy that this particular drug treats that particular disease. Another one is safety. While we say that regarding the efficacy wise, it becomes a matter of clinical trial and animal experiment trial, and then in the clinical trial, the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and so on and so forth. It's a complex one. But at least the safety of Ayurvedic medicines or herbs can be established with the animal experiment studies, determining the, say, lethal dose, etc. One question, Gururatha sir, is that whether we should be trying to adopt scientific method in our research or not. That is a different question. But at least there should be sufficient amount of safety data that can be generated for Ayurvedic medicine. Through the modern medicine research, it's not that hard and not even that much controversial, because efficacy is related little bit controversial, but establishing safety is not that hard, and probably we should be taking that so that we win the trust of the scientific community. Sir.
See, first of all, in this, a very important issue is that sourcing of the raw material. That is a very, very important aspect. And sticking on to the methods and the ingredients listed out in the Samhitas text we have been consulting. So the referred text, what establishes or what exactly says, if it is followed 100% without causing any deviation in the raw material selection, process, time, and everything. But what happens as an industry is that there will be some constraints, there may be some demands. Some people are just for sake of money, select the wrong raw materials or skip the certain things. And ultimately what happens is the one which gets the blow is Ayurveda as a science. So ultimately we need to be very specific in these things. First, we need to establish that we have selected a right kind of raw material and all those things. If it is required, then it is properly done through the all manufacturing practices as laid down in Samhitas. And all the Siddha Lakshanas appeared, and it is to be kept as per the time it is been specified, then only it should be used. If that material for the safety data generation is not a big issue, we'll get a very beautiful safety data. But randomly selecting any drug from the market, maybe which is purulent or maybe substandard, maybe due to various reasons, or bypassed all these things that deviated from the standard patterns. If that thing we start bombarding, then very clearly Ayurveda is unsafe and is unscrupulous and is not the right one. Don't follow all these nonsense will come. Ayurveda drugs are poison, so many things. Point number 2 is wherever the herbal mineral drugs are there in Ayurveda, there should be a testing methodology for each and every batch, and that should be kept as a safety data. And definitely, I can say if you follow all these steps of genuine raw material selection, completely doing all the processes without deviation in things, just because of the cost involved or the time involved, if you are doing everything in the right sense, then definitely the ultimately finished product will be of a very high standard. And definitely, if it is used in the therapeutic dosages, it won't cause you any untoward incident or any side effect. That is what the beauty of Ayurveda, and that needs to be established. But there are players who can just throw away all these restrictions and the right kind of the materials. Then ultimately they make a mistake, they misrepresent, and ultimately the entire system gets a bad name. That needs to be avoided.
And like you told, one aspect of it is the raw material in the process as per Shastra. Yeah, that needs to be followed. And another one is that underlying medical conditions, etc. So whatever the side effects that get bombarded, there is this famous tweeters and YouTubers and bloggers that Raghuram sir keeps on mentioning. They will randomly pick one product from the market. They will not do a thorough study of whether that has been produced or not, and some person with already established or already having a liver condition may be taking it, and suddenly he develops some symptoms without doing a proper scientific analysis of the whole situation. He'll just blame that because of this medicine that person has given, has is afflicted with a liver disorder. That's why all Ayurveda medicines cause liver disorder. But also nowadays it has become such a big myth has been spread that we have. You are now managing the YouTube and you take the fight. Almost once every day we had to fight the myth that Ayurveda medicines cause liver and kidney disorders, failures.
Absolutely, Herbal sir. So there are, there is a saying, no, when you are progressing in a good way or in a good pathway, जब लोग तुम्हारे खिलाफ बोलने लगे समझो तरक्की कर गए. So when people start putting wrong comments on you, objections on you, it shows that you are traveling in the right path. Provided if you are in the route of dharma, if you are doing all the things properly, and whatever you have done is justifiable, you need not explain. We need not explain it to anybody, because result wise and relief wise, we are leading. Ayurveda medicines and Ayurveda approaches is wholesome, because no chapter has been written in Ayurveda without mentioning of do's and don'ts. Very important. Not only the medicines, see how comprehensively a chapter has been assembled in Ayurveda. Take it Charaka, Sushruta, anywhere, Vagbata, any treatise which comes even after that particular era. So there is a clean description of the causes. That also means the causes need to be avoided. Preventive medicine is already there. Then comes the premonitory symptoms, then comes the symptoms, then comes the prognosis, and then comes the treatment aspect. In the treatment aspect, there comes the chronology of the medicines which need to be taken, and then comes patyapatya. So that is what needs to be taken, what is good, what is bad. So this is the chronology. So this is the comprehensiveness of Ayurveda and Ayurveda approach. That is why we spend time with our clients telling everything. That is what people expect from Ayurveda physicians. So safety and non-safety of the medicines, rightly, as Guruji sir also have pointed out, we can see so many points. There are a lot of people who are into the queue of this war without reason, war without reasoning, war without ethics. So just because you need to do something, some people are hired, some people are sponsored only to write something worst about Ayurveda, something bad about Ayurveda. So why? Because this we can understand it is competition. Let us keep doing our work. We need to address certain things, we need to ignore certain things. Sometimes when we fall into the discussions and also the vada, it goes to the wrong ways. So like the discussions will go in a very horrible way. So like arguments and counter arguments, and they will yield nothing. Simply we are stressing ourselves, that's all. Till a point we can substantiate that we are doing a good work, these medicines are not safe. And if the other people, the other party is bringing all the, because they also have a team, they can provide so many counter theories contradicting my theory that it is safe. They have so many theories that it is unsafe. But ultimately, what is the result? So the result is good for me. I am saving the lives. I am relieving the person from the diseases. So that is what is important for me. Why to break our heads against these discussions in the Twitter or YouTube or whatever it is there? To an extent, we can answer. So after that, we just need to not give up but stop. Otherwise, it becomes a Vitandavada, vague argument which yields nothing. So that is very important, as you rightly said. And one more point I just wanted to add regarding the safety of the medicines. This quackery, there should be some scanning or screening of this quackery. These people are big headache, and people should know anything herbal is not Ayurveda. Anything herbal is not Ayurveda. Anything which has been branded as Ayurveda is not Ayurveda. So there should be some standards and parameters which should be set by the Ayurveda fraternity, by the pharmaceuticals, and the governing bodies like a state government or a central government. So there should be clear scanning and screening of these things, just like the teachers are being screened now by NCISM, who is eligible to teach, who is there in the institution, who is faking, and all those things. Things also need to be screened, and also the wrong segments should be totally dissected, or surgical, we can call it a surgical attack on those things. And the quackery. Take for example, I have seen in some places that the salons are putting an ad outside. Ayurveda head massage will be done here. Are boss, if you are giving an Ayurveda massage, or first of all, you don't know what is Ayurveda. You don't know what is Abhyanga. You are just putting Ayurveda head massage and Ayurveda massage will be given here with some pictures. People are attracted. Why to go to a Ayurveda Panchakarma center and why to pay consultation fee to a doctor? Let me take a massage here. Anyhow, I am going for a haircut. I'll take a head massage and I'll take a body massage. Why is that salon or that particular team marketing the word Ayurveda? Because they know that Ayurveda is popular. So the pity is Ayurveda doctors should know how Ayurveda is popular. Even a barber is using Ayurveda's name. If they are doing our job, where is the authenticity? So these should be screened by somebody. So take the photographs. Just tell them this is not Ayurveda. You just do massage whatever you want to do, but remove that word Ayurveda. That responsibilities also we need to take as individual. They may not accept, but there should be some governing bodies over these things. Just screen, just go around, just take a beat around particular areas and scan. So only for Ayurvedas, a samiti should be there, a committee should be there, and it should have some persons who are doing these inspections. Just like we are inspecting the colleges, inspecting the clinics and also the hospitals. Just do the inspection in your city and see where quackery is going on. So this is the purify, and also the surgical attack will remove the threat, the toxicity. This is one of the big toxicity for Ayurveda medicines. Anything Ayurveda, anything herbal is not Ayurveda. Anything which has been written as Ayurveda or branded as Ayurveda, these are spoiling our names. These should be screened first.
Namaste, doctors. This is exactly, I totally agree with what Dr. Raghuram just said. It's exactly what's happening in the US as well. When it is called herbal, then people think, okay, herbal, it's all safe, it's all good. And so they tend to, the fear is FDA doesn't want to approve things because the fear is people might overdose. Suppose you say neem is good, or say Triphala helps you lose weight. People might just end up having mega doses of Triphala every day and may end up in emergency. That's one exact reason that FDA doesn't want to approve things, and they want to standardize it before people can, you have standard doctors and you can get it only through prescription, just like how allopathy works. And since that is not being done, that's the problem, that they don't want to approve certain things. That's the same thing for metals as well. When there are metal basmas in there, what they're afraid is, it's not that they don't understand that these metals don't help, but the problem is, what if a person gets hands to it and then is overdosing on those metallic things and ends up being a metallic overload in their body? Then it puts a pressure on the existing medical system, which is already under tremendous pressure. So it is important to know and to set some standards, and that is not happening in the US as well. For Ayurvedic medicines, we all attend 2-year, 3-year courses, and then we get on feet. As I go through Dr. Hebar's lectures, I see there's so much. It's an ocean, and then we are not even getting to probably a few drops of it. So it is very important that this needs to be standardized at some level. And as just a piece of suggestion, I would suggest that after going through easy Ayurveda classes, maybe you should set up some exams or something where you say, yes, I qualified this person as being, efficient enough to at least do on a small practitioner level. It might help those people who are in the easy Ayurveda program, at least, to there is some kind of standard that you can set. Of course, we have the NAMA exam here and things like that. But then, to make it even more serious, I would think some kind of standardization like this would really help. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
We can do. I mean, I myself may not be in a position to do, but with the help of seniors like Guru sir, and many other people, it can be done probably sometime in future. Guru sir, please. Probably you can do that, sir, for us.
It's a simple reason. Giving a certification or anything like that, or approving anybody, I think it is not at all fall under our domain. There is a standard bodies and authorized agencies and the government level. They can only go through the inspection and do the things. They'll only set the standards and they only give all these things. So for any people across the globe, we sitting here and do some tests and all those things and give a certification. How far that certificate is going to be validated by any authorities or accept that it is a true one. So there is a stand, because see, for example, if my institution gets an NAC accreditation, then NAC has a certain value. Everybody accepts. Similarly, if you have an NABH accreditation, that has some value. So that should be something like that, a setup of, it is established by the government and as per the law of the land, then it is be easier. And sitting in India and design a course and give a certification later on, and which eligibles someone in the US or UK to practice Ayurveda, I don't think so. There will be lot of legal hurdles will be there in that. That may not be possible. Update you on the genuine Ayurveda knowledge through various videos or discourses or podcasts like this or anything like these are things we can update on the knowledge regarding the science of Ayurveda, the concepts of Ayurveda, theories of Ayurveda, the medicaments of Ayurveda, but we cannot give you any as such certification, and it is not wise also. So it is out of our domain, I think so.
We are not like, easy Ayurveda is, we are doing our bit to help for the cause of Ayurveda, but we are not an established authority for sure. And probably that responsibility, if we take, we ourselves, I can speak to myself, I myself can become corrupt and again cause the problem rather than solving it.
So there are authorities governing that, they will take the decision. We as Easy Ayurveda can do that. When we have Easy Ayurveda College of Ayurveda sometime in future affiliated to NCISM or the higher body. So at that particular time, we will probably be in a state of recruiting the students under us, and also probably will be licensed to give a certificate that you are fit to practice and unfit to practice, and so on and so forth. If that happens, so it will be really good.
If you come up with like such an institute, I have two people in my head who can become principal and head of the department. Jokes apart, I think like there are these private regulatory bodies like a CRISIL, etc. for the stock market. Stock market behaves in one way, but there are this, they're called as these rating agencies. I think there is a way to do that, but that needs a lot of this one. If we really make our mind to create a gradation system or a rating system and establish it, and that our systems or our evaluation methods are scrutinized by a variety of government and higher authorities, and they approve the system, then it can become a protocol, a standardized protocol, which can be replicated in many different countries and places and universities, and that can become a standard. But it's again a different ball game, and probably, at least for now, we are not taking that up. Dr. Abdul Karim has point to say. Please, Dr. Abdul Karim.
Just my words has been taken by Dr. Raghuram sir actually. Raghu madam has been initiated that word. You can able to start any process for that. that we can able to take a step now, sir. As Ragham sir said that I have to start easier at the college. That's one of the good point. And this is someone has to be start as I want to be say this. And another context is telling that Apta is telling. Now see, easy Ayurveda become the Apta for how many people? They are taking Janardhan Hebbar sir's name. That is our Ayurveda speciality. It is system has came from Shishya to Guru to Shishya Parampara. That is running always, and Guru become the apta for them. Now you are apta for so many of the people who are going to be taking your name while practicing, especially as I am seeing after joining the Easy Ayurveda, especially. And another more thing, whether it is possible from Easy Ayurveda, we can able to start on standard operative procedures methods, which can able to be adopted in your day-to-day practices also be simple methods of preparing any formulations. Home remedies are maybe there in their own clinics. That can one thing. And secondary thing is clinical protocol, beautifully explained by in our classic. Why we should not able to try to make it standardize that one. If you want to be practice, how modern clinical practice protocol has been mentioned in a clinical research. The beautifully means how much they have been elaborately explained in our classics, step by step by the examination of the patient, even including the study the science. A student how to select a subject in which field he wants to go, even in which type of a medications. As discussion is going on in our classics, never it is mentioned that to be that this science has been lower than our science. They are giving each and every science has an equal importance is there also. That is also be mentioned in a clearly in our classifications. In the context of aptas, discussions, everywhere it is mentioned beautifully. So I request in Easy Ayurveda, if you start as a beginning, we will try to be make it as an one standard protocols for all this sort of researchers.
Yes, sir. That is a possibility. And there is this another comment by Zoka Till. He says, from the point of view of a Western medical doctor, a neurologist, so the person is a neurologist, I see that patients have more and more knowledge about natural healing options. In my clinic, I always perform a full investigation of Western view, lab, MRIs, etc., and then explain that we can follow Western treatment with medications, or we can follow natural path. In my clinic, at least 50% choose natural way of healing. This is just a very rarest among the rarest example in which modern allopath and neurologist in particular is open to natural ways of healing. So acceptance from modern community of people, the Western community or allopathic community of people, and they're respecting us, they're respecting the natural sciences, be it Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani, physiotherapy, and whatnot. That will be a very big step from their community towards us. And from our community also, Guru sir has been teaching this since I was in BNS, that we as Ayurvedic people, Ayurvedic community people should have high amount of respect to other natural sciences and even to allopathy also. So only this mutual respect can yield fruitful results, Guru sir. So from other sciences, especially this modern allopathic doctors towards natural sciences will help. This will help us in a great way to come up with kind of a sophisticated treatment approaches using best of the both worlds. So this will help patients to a very great extent.
Definitely, it will help, but it becomes once again a big area of research because they got their own apprehensions that how can when the same person is being treated with both the type of medications and they are against this integration and all those things, and they have got their own mindset that they won't accept any other things, and there is the only one science and rest of all things are nonsense and pseudoscience. Until unless this goes out of their mind, nothing can be placed in. So they should have that rationality, thinking that everyone in this world has, at some point of time, they are definitely thought of their own, are the available resources and the scientific knowledge. They have come up out and laid down certain procedures and these things. If a system or a technique is outdated, which naturally dies, but here in this case of Ayurveda, in this alternate system, even though there is so much of huge onslaught, still the time is tested for a long years. Still, they could be able to sustain even in the 21st century with all these the modern medical gadgets and techniques and approaches and the fun and the fanfare, but still they could be able to maintain their love and affection for interested in me. It itself is a certificate, but this needs to be understood by the allopathy or the Western medical doctors that there is something other than in our science is also a science. There will be some rationality behind that. Let us also understand if that openness comes, then definitely ultimately the humans will be benefited.
Yes, sir. And ultimately, I mean, this discussion can go on and on. Ultimately, it all comes to this very old Subhashita that Ayam Nijaha Paroveti Gananam Laguchetasam Udara Charitanam tu Vasudaiva Kutumbakam. Only my science is great, my science is scientific, and all other medical sciences are trash. That is a characteristic feature of Laghu Chetasa, meaning one who with very less intellect. Whereas Udara Charita, I mean, one who has a broad mindset, who really wants the best for the patient, would think of this whole world as a family and everyone as a brethren and everyone as a helping positive component to each other. Probably such a such a mindset is required in the medical field for the benefit of the patient. Ultimately, all that we are trying to do is to help the patient to live in a healthy way with lesser medical intervention as possible. So with that, let me end this session here. GURUBODHA has been a very instrumental platform for reaching the masses, and it is getting a good, good positive feedback from the world. Especially even the audio podcast, it's called as Easy Ayurveda Podcast, in which we are publishing all these things, has reached 50 countries, and we are reaching 50 countries, which is a great thing. So let's meet in the next session of GURUBODHA. Namaste.